So I haven't made a video in a couple weeks because I've had kind of a drastic change in my life. So I'm just gonna kind of ramble on here for a minute. But I lost my job. My not because of anything I did. My position was just eliminated along with countless others. I don't even know how many, but there was I think 25 on the conference call I was on that got our positions eliminated. But so here I am. I find myself at the age of 54 without a job. Um, Not the time in life you want to find yourself without a job as far as age goes. Um, a lot of people want to hire younger people, but is what it is. I started my journey here, I guess, is what you want to call it, in car camping, or the nomadic lifestyle is what I tend to call it. But with the idea that I was going to continue to work and stockpile money away and fix up my Jeep. I still have several things I need to do to my Jeep. I need a rear upper control arm and probably lower control arms. I need a new steering box, just some things like that. I need to get the transmission looked at, but now I can't do that. So I've got to kind of just rely on what it is. As you can see, I fortunately got my roof rack all done and put my boxes up there. However, what I need to do now is really reevaluate what I'm carrying with me, because I had a storage unit in Flagstaff where I was keeping all of my belongings after I moved out of my apartment. So that past week, I've been getting rid of most of those belongings. But it's coming down to some, final things that I own. Some of the things were just random, keepsakes or tchotchkes, whatever you want to call them. That I might get emotional doing this. Having a hard time letting go. You wouldn't think it'd be this emotional, but I mean, in some ways, this is the kick in the ass I needed. Um, but in other ways, I'm late in my working life, and I just kind of wanted to. I was kind of getting set on the idea of just sticking out working at that job for the remainder of my working life before I could go to the Philippines. Um, However, there's nothing I can do about that. So I've just got to use it as for what it is. Try to use it as a positive, and I'm going to try to use it as a kick in the ass to get myself going. Maybe even out of here. I would love to move to Guam. I know Guam's a tiny little island, but if Hawaii is here and the Philippines is here, well, Guam is closer to the Philippines than it is to Hawaii. So, um, being as I have the love of my life in the Philippines and somebody I want to spend the rest of my life with, and that's where I plan on retiring. Maybe just like one, yeah, maybe going to Guam or Hawaii if that would work out. If those won't work out, I might even look to get a work visa in Australia or New Zealand. However, again, at my age, from the very, very brief stuff I've looked up, it's not quite as easy. They want people under 45 to come over and work. So I'm in a tough spot, but basically what I need to do right now, and the reason I decided to start filming this is because I really need to reevaluate what I was doing and what I'm hanging on to. Like, I have 4 boxes. I have 2 side boxes up there, and then I have one in the back. And the one in the back is a long one that I kind of have a lot of my cooking stuff in. Because my idea was, although I wanted to stealth car camp during the week in town, on weekends, I wanted to be able to go out to the forest and enjoy the forest. However, right now, I don't want to risk anything with the Jeep, tires. I don't want to risk anything because I don't have the money. Because I'm now unemployed and I need to save every bit I can. So, and if I'm going to be moving sooner than later, I was thinking this was going to be the next 5 to 7 years doing this in the forest around Flagstaff and stuff. So, I've got a lot of cooking gear up there. I've got a burner that's in a couple of my shorts, or one of my shorts for sure. You can see it where I was cooking breakfast, and a wok. And now I need to reevaluate: are those things I'm going to carry with me now? It's things like that I hate to get rid of because I love them and they're great for when I go out camping. But my focus can't be on going out camping now. My focus has to be on living life in this and in this style that I've chosen. I'm really fortunate that I did get out of my apartment when I did a few months ago, because had I not done that when I did that, getting let go from my job, having my position eliminated, would have been a much more stressful thing for me. Because then I would have had to worry about getting out of my apartment and whatever. But since I'd already had a storage unit and I'd already moved all my stuff in that storage unit, it's made this transition easier. Unfortunately, I've had to sell off pretty much everything I own for pennies on the dollar. Like I just sold a lathe, a metal lathe, and everything that went with it. Probably $1,000 value. I've had it for a year, and I sold it for $375. Sold, pretty much everything I'm selling is at best half price, and they're, for all intents and purposes, brand new. I barely used them. So, um, what can you do? You got to roll with the punches, and I'm not so much complaining. That I'm very happy that I've been able to sell those things and have that money in my pocket now. Um, well, it's going to go to the bank today, but so, anyways, just a little update. I'm trying to, you know, think about what my next steps are. Um, Keeping in mind that my ultimate is in 7 years or 5, depending on what happens. I want to end up in the Philippines, so um, Guam would be absolutely ideal. If anybody has any ideas, any connections, or anything in Guam, please mention in the comments, or send this to your friend in Guam. I guess I didn't intend to do this on this video, but I've done a lot of jobs in my life, more than one person should, and there's negatives to that, but there's also positives. I know a lot of things. I mean, I worked as a, going way back to when I was in my 20s, I've worked as an electrician's apprentice. I've done handyman work. I've done bricklayer's apprentice. I've done office jobs. I can type 60 to 70 words a minute. I was a cable TV installer, so I know how to terminate cable and stuff of that nature, and run cable and run data cables and terminate data cables. I can fix or replace a toilet, fix or replace a sink. I can do drywall work. I mean, there's not a lot of things I can't do, which gives me a very good broad knowledge, but I'm not a specialist at anything. And looking for a job at my age, I think being a specialist would be a little better, because I'm having a hard time even looking for jobs at this point. Now, to be honest, I haven't really started yet. It's Wednesday today, I believe. Yeah, it's Wednesday. So I'm only on day 3 of being without a job, but I'm already finding myself super bored. However, I'm in a catch-22 situation right now where I need to get rid of all my belongings that are in my storage unit and make myself mobile, because when I start applying for jobs in Guam or Hawaii or even Australia or whatever, I need to be ready to go, because my assumption is if I apply and I get a job, they're going to say, okay, you need to be here in 2 weeks. When I say, well, I can't, they're going to say, well, then you don't have a job. So I'm trying to take care of all that stuff first. Again, I've taken care of a lot of it, but I'm down to really just kind of things I don't want to get rid of, or things that generally people wouldn't want to get rid of. Like I'm having to parse down my clothing. I had about, I don't know, 10 or 15 dress shirts. Well, I've got one now. I got rid of all the rest of them. And I've still got some clothing in my storage unit. That's a beautiful bird. I don't know what the hell it is. But and like I say, I've gotten rid of all my tools. But I'm struggling now with what do I keep for like the camping car style life, and what do I not? Like stuff like my tent. I've got a big 6-person tent. Well, what good is that going to do me other than just take up room up there? I've got a backpack up in one of those things right now. I was just looking at. Do I really need a backpack anymore? I don't know. And if I do, I can buy one down the line. So, but then if I don't, what do I do on those weekends where I want to go out? So it's really struggling with what to keep and what to get rid of. It's a very humbling time in life for me right now, and I just hope I can come out of this on the other side. In some ways, I'm much better off. In some ways, I'm much happier. My job is, for me anyways, was a very, very stressful job. I won't get into the reasons why, but it was very stressful, and I wasn't happy there. So that's why I say we got to try to look at this as a positive and use it as a motivation to move on. But in all honesty, I mean, I was making so much progress on fixing up the Jeep. Like in the last few months, I've changed the rear differential fluid and gasket. I took off the whole thing, changed that out. I've changed the rear axle bearings and seals. I've changed the transfer case fluid. I've changed the front differential gasket and fluid. I know I'm forgetting things. Changed the rear brakes. I don't know. I'm forgetting things. But I have done so much on this in the last 3 months, and all I really wanted was 6 months longer. Because one of my struggles is I don't have anywhere to keep my spare tire right now. I was looking at a bumper that you can put your spare tire on it. There's only one I can find for a Jeep WJ, and it's about $1,600. Super expensive for a bumper, but I kind of need it, because I can't. The only other option is to continue to put the spare tire in the back while I'm driving and doing stuff for the day, and then when I'm ready to sleep, taking it out and setting it next to the vehicle or putting it on top of the vehicle, and that gets to be a real pain. But that's my, I need to get that rear bumper with the tire carrier. I was going to get a blue top steering box made out of North Dakota, where I'm originally from. I've heard those are better than Redhead, so I've done my research on that. I was going to get that, and I still might. I think it's hard to prioritize those things because that rear control arm, right now mine is shot and it's making a lot of noise. And at what point is it just going to fail? My steering is pretty loose, and I don't know how much of that I can contribute to the steering box or how much of it is to the A arms. Just making the vehicle feel loose. I don't know. So many things to think about, but just a quick update that where I am, I'm unemployed. I'm unemployed at age 54, and I got to try to use this as a springboard rather than let it drag me down. But we'll see. It's a very humbling moment in life, but what can you do? So I guess I'll try to make some more frequent videos. I may try to edit this one. We'll see. But yeah. So anyways, there's the Jeep. Oh yeah, and I put a synthetic rope on the front of it. I think a month ago. Right before I found out I was getting canned. I bought a new AC condenser for the front of that, which is sitting in my storage unit right now because that came in literally. No, it didn't come in the last day, but it came in the last week I was working because I'd ordered it before that, before I found out I was getting let go. So, yeah, I have things to do, a lot of things to think about, and it's just going to take me some time. But again, I guess, wish me luck if you would in the comments, lift my spirits. We'll see what happens, but I guess this is the start of a new journey.